This is dedicated to Jensen, his parents, the former, present, and future students who will not be attending this school. This is the real story of the real McCoys of Dallas County. We are closing a chapter of a remarkable family name. McCoy Elementary of Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD will be closing their doors this year. I can't let this happen without you knowing the significance of one of North Texas' most significant and impactful families. Meet Colonel John McCoy. He did many things. He was the first attorney to practice law in Dallas. He founded the Dallas Bar Association. He was the founding partner and the law firm that John Ely Bryan practiced in. He was the surveyor for the Peters Colony settlement. His wife and daughter both died while Cora, his wife, gave birth, and he never married again. He built the first frame home in Dallas. It was located near the southwest corner of Commerce and Lamar. He took his younger sister in Eliza when his parents passed away. He owns land that one day he had hoped to retire in. Today, that land is where Hockaday School sits. Colonel McCoy was instrumental in founding the Tannehill Lodge No. 52. He's serving as the secretary in 1849. He was a pioneer in the Freemasonry in Texas and was known for his generosity. He would often pay the dues of the members that were not able to pay theirs, and he maintained the lodges. He became involved in the First Baptist Church in downtown Dallas, and that is when his philanthropy grew even more. After his death, his body laid in state for 4 days at home, where, according to the Dallas Morning News, hundreds and hundreds of his old neighbors, of his newer friends, and the rich and the poor, the black and the white visited. The burial service for the Mason Cemetery was attended by a crowd that the Dallas Morning News estimated to be in the thousands. Annually, Colonel McCoy would host a Christmas party for families that had children and they were in need. His sister Eliza McCoy also gave in her lifetime. She gave nearly $200,000. Now that would be nearly $8 million today. She gave to indigenous people in America, Baylor University, First Baptist Church, and Beckner Children's Home, and many, many more. We are now going into the second generation of the McCoy families. This is John Milton McCoy. He was the nephew of Colonel McCoy. After the death of his wife, he decided to make a fresh new start, and he accepted an offer to work in the law practice with his uncle here in Dallas. He was Dallas's first city attorney, and he wrote the charter for the city. He was among the founders of the First Presbyterian Church of Dallas, and throughout his life, he worked in their Sunday school program. After his retirement, John McCoy found land in the northern part of Dallas County. He thought it would be the perfect place to live the rest of his life in peace. He said he loved the friendly, quiet town, and it was an ideal place to finish raising his two youngest children. This town and farm are currently where the McCoy Elementary and Newman Smith High School sit today. His life was filled with the love of travel, his sense of humor, and enthusiasm for living. Between 1913 and 1916, he had to have amputation of both legs. He survived his third wife by a little more than a year, and he died peacefully in Parkland Hospital on January 2nd of 1922. In the 1900s, the McCoy family kept raising the bar in servantship and continued to think in innovative ways for their legacy. Ted McCoy was one of the first to believe in the Ford Motor Company here in Carrollton. He owned one of the first 5-passenger Model Ts and even invested in the first Ford repair garage. Today, that building still remains in downtown Carrollton. In 1927, there was talk of Texas tea brewing on land right here in this city. In 1927, the Alfred Oil Company found oil on the McCoy property, and that became Dallas County's first oil rig that had ever gone up. The Carrollton Chronicle newspaper posted often about this exciting first event. People from all over Texas traveled to the McCoy farm to see this oil rig in person for themselves. Now, I tried to find the natural resources were discovered on the McCoy farm, but I wasn't successful. However, I did locate this 2025 Texas Railroad Commission app that shows where oil and gas are currently. The green dots are oil and the red dots show natural gas. One of the members of the McCoy family, Ted Coy to be exact, became the captain of the Carrollton Fire Department. He cherished this role from 1927 to 1953. The McCoy families in Carrollton were also dairy farmers, and they bred Clydesdale stallions. To celebrate the 4th of July, the McCoy family would also host a large barbecue for all of the city to enjoy. Once the 1940s arrived, we once again witnessed the bravery and the stewardship of the real McCoys.
A bomb hit caused the Arizona to blow up.
The entire city of Carrollton, along with the mighty McCoys, did their small part proudly when World War II hit. The women in the McCoy family organized sewing rooms for the American Red Cross, while the men gathered scraps of metal and sold war bonds. The McCoy family donated eggs and milk for school lunches. During World War II, there wasn't money in the school budget for hot meals for all of the students, so women from the city came together and prepared meals daily. These women volunteered their time for the betterment of their community. World War II ends. When the calendar made it to 1945, Carrollton welcomed many new families and residents into her city limits. New neighbors meant new homes. New homes meant our little city had to change. It was a sunny February day in 1953 when Willie Washington McCoy said goodbye to his home in Carrollton. He would have been 75 years old on the 22nd of February. Willie's body didn't go too far. He was laid to rest at Hilltop Cemetery on Perry Road. The land his family farm and ranch stood on was large. Both Ted and J.W. had modest homes of their own in Carrollton. There was no need for them to keep up nearly 250 acres to themselves. They sold the land that had once been included in the Peters Colony settlement. They said goodbye to plots that had once held the first oil rig in Dallas County. Before the deed was handed over, they remembered the 4th of July parties they had hosted there. They could almost hear the stomping of hooves that belonged to their glorious Clydesdale stallions. The McCoys sold their land in 3 different stages. Each time they departed with a section, they watched how it was filled with more life than they had ever offered it. They smiled with pride when Good Elementary School was named after a family they loved, respected, and had known all of their lives. When the McCoy family first called Carrollton home, the population was less than 300. Carrollton was now reaching for 7,500 residents, and she was growing each day. Thanks to people like Ted McCoy for giving local support to his Ford dealership. Well, many others did as well, and the Ford Motor Company decided to call Carrollton home too. Other large, well-known companies followed their move, and soon Carrollton was the place to be. Once upon a time, Carrollton was a small town 11 miles north of Dallas. We had 13,600 residents by the early 1970s. By the end of that decade, the population had increased to 50,000. Also, by this time, Carrollton had opened their doors to McCoy Elementary. The neighborhood that surrounded this school was filled with sounds of children playing outside, and to those who lived close enough to Newman Smith High School, they were privy to tunes being played by the band. The commotion of construction would continue to be an ongoing sound that we still do not ever see ending. The past and the present have led you both to Carrollton, Texas. More importantly, it led you to the McCoy land. You fell in love with this place for the same reason the McCoy family did. The McCoys were people that loved community, and they loved children, and they loved the bright hope of the future. They valued moments in life. They gave knowing that having the ability to give was a blessing all on its own. I don't want anyone to forget who the McCoys were. They were pioneers, they were educated, they were successful, but most of all, they were servants. Nothing came easy to this family. Colonel McCoy lost his wife and daughter on the same day. His nephew, well, he lost 3 wives and both of his legs. His sister Eliza, she never married, but she devoted her entire life as a missionary. Ted McCoy risked his life daily for the well-being of our small town and didn't even get paid to be a volunteer firefighter. To John McCoy, who withstood the attack on Pearl Harbor. Not only did you make it out that day alive to tell us about it, but you also went on to fight in the Korean War. This isn't goodbye. This is simply the end of this chapter. This next part is even more exciting because this time you get to carry on their legacy. Here is to the start of your new chapter. Keep the spirit of the McCoy family alive and well. You come from a place where incredible people come from. Here's to McCoy Elementary. Your legacy will never be over.